We have seen a lot of military action of late in recent years. Of course, the U.S. withdrew from Afghanistan, but that was a trigger for your population. We know that when it comes to the conflict in Ukraine, we're still early days here. This could go on for years. Tell us how you see that impacting your population reaching out for treatment.
Yeah, I think that's well said. It's an arc, I think, associated with life where at times it wanes and at times it waxes. But the point being is that the trajectory of treating trauma, it can be lifelong for many people. And I think organizations like ours, Headstrong, that's the value of what we bring to the community, is that we're here over the long haul. And you're right, we're seeing the early stages of trauma, whether you be in Ukraine as a Ukrainian citizen or removed as we are as American citizens and around the world. We're all witnessing the horror associated with modern warfare and the trauma that ensues from that. And so I think this arc of treating trauma at various stages is very important to recognize, is that organizations need to be in it for the long haul and ensure that.
Well, speaking of the long haul, Jim, Headstrong recently got a windfall that will allow you to operate for the long haul. Tell us about this historic gift from Mackenzie Scott, formerly known as Mackenzie Bezos.
Yeah, we're very proud this morning to announce the gift by Ms. Scott of $10 million to our organization, Headstrong. And it really is, a lot of words been thrown around, transformational. I'll simply seize on one, empowering, and the trust and confidence that Ms. Scott has placed in our organization. I think it's really important to recognize that her philanthropy is associated with searching for those organizations, just trying their very best to do the best thing for people. And Ms. Scott's gift recognizes that our ability to treat trauma over the long haul begins with growth, expansion, and sustainability.
And did she stipulate how she wants it used, or are you given free rein in terms of how you can deploy it best?
Yeah, I think this is the beauty of her philanthropy. It's completely unrestricted. And what I mean by empowering, she's entrusted our organization with her precious resources to do the best thing. So while unrestricted, we recognize that we have to make the best use of that. And our focus is on really those elements associated with care, access, quality, and sustainability over the long haul. And This gift will allow us to expand all that.
Yeah, $10 million is the biggest gift ever, and certainly about the same as the $10.8 million you got in net revenue for all of last year. Sam, let me come to you because we talk about the long haul, and I think a lot of times people are focused on children in the conflict areas. But what happens when the kids leave the war zones? It's far from problem solved. They are resettled in foreign countries. Talk about the tensions that result when the children are adjusting to their new communities, and perhaps less attention is focused on what happens at that stage of their adjustment.
Absolutely. And Jim mentioned this too. I mean, when you're dealing with war and the impact of war, there really is an arc, and children will experience that over the course of their lifetime. There's an old adage that you can take the child out of war, but it's difficult to take the war out of the child. And so what you tend to see is in young children, especially, this ongoing continuum where they're wrestling with the impact of war, but also where they feel dislocated. They're in a community that they may not speak the language. They may feel very isolated. They may feel as if others don't understand what they have endured. And that in and of itself can also create a lot of, I would say, tensions between some of these kids who have lived with war and then their new host communities. And we've seen that in other environments, for example, in Jordan, where they received a large number of Syrian refugee children, where the schools were overwhelmed, where they had to split the classes into two. So Jordanian kids would go in the morning, Syrian refugee kids would go in the afternoon. And so with more than 3.5 million refugees now being displaced, the long-term impact of that will continue to be felt for many months and years. But more importantly as well, the sooner we can get kids back into what feels normal for them, back into schools, in safe environments, back into homes, reunited with their parents, those are all really critical to their psychological recovery.
Yeah, so in so many ways, as we've seen throughout COVID, getting them back to school consistently is critical in terms of putting them on a path to recovery, which is, of course, something to keep in mind here as we figure out how to help children adjust. Jim, let me come to you here because your son is an active member of the U.S. Army. So to some extent, I'm guessing that you and your family are always kind of on edge in, being ready for the possibility that he may be called to action to the scene of a battle. How do you help people confront that level of uncertainty?
Well, I think, well, first of all, you talked about a very important element in modern times, the uncertainty associated with our lives. My concern is one of genuine love for people who volunteer, like my son, to go into harm's way. Heaven forbid they need to, but my emphasis is on ensuring that access to the things that he needs to remain focused are at the forefront of our minds. That's the same for our organization. We're investing in them so they can invest in our country. My son is no different. His colleagues, all of them, if the potential is there to go in harm's way, our job is to make sure that both preparing for that and in the aftermath of that, that organizations like Headstrong and many others are here to take care of them. It is the central focus of our organization, is in getting them ready and getting them home.